For our text this morning, we'll reread one verse from St. Luke, chapter 9, verse 62. And Jesus said unto him, No man, having put his hand to the plow, and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of God. Most by now have quit their New Year resolutions. And if you haven't, you will in about a week and a half. Because 91% of all this survey that I saw will quit by January 31st. In this survey, some of the resolutions, and this is 18 through 64-year-olds, these were the top New Year resolutions. 59% put at the top to save money. 50% of them in this coming year wanted to exercise more. 47% of them said they wanted to eat healthier. 40% said that they wanted to spend more time with family and friends. 35% said that they wanted to lose some weight. 26% said that they want to reduce their spending. 19% says that they wanted to use their time less on media. And then another 19% to reduce stress on their job. And these are great resolutions. Some of you that have maybe made a resolution, you probably are accounted somewhere in here. And they're good things to aspire to. I mean, who doesn't want to save more money, spend more time with family, exercise more, eat healthier? I haven't seen a survey done where most people would say, I want to spend more money, exercise less, eat unhealthier, spend less time with family and friends. I want to gain more weight. I want to spend more time on social media. I want to spend more time looking at TikTok videos and YouTube videos. I want to eat more junk food. And I want more stress in my life. Did you make that resolution? Probably not. I also saw another survey. This was by Christians that was taken. And here's their resolutions. I want to draw nearer to God in this coming year. I want to be a peacemaker. I want to read my Bible more in this coming year. I want to pray more. I want to spend more time with family and fellowship more with those of my faith. I want to be an encourager. I want to be more grateful and thankful. I want to let my past go. I want to evangelize more. And I added to this survey, I want to obey my parents more. In our account that was read here this morning, in verse 51, we're told that Jesus did something different. Up to now, the gospel writer Luke wrote about his coming. Jesus is coming to earth. But in chapter 9, verse 51, we are told that Jesus did something different. And this is what Luke writes, that Jesus set his sights, his focus, his resolution, if you will, on going to Jerusalem. And we know what that meant. We know what it means. We can look back. The sole purpose that Jesus came to this world is for him to set his sights on Jerusalem. Jesus came to do a great work. And we know that from the foundations of the world, the Bible teaches us that God would send his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, into this world, that Jesus would be crucified upon a cruel cross so we could be saved. And we see that in verse 51. Jesus set, he purposed, he focused. From here on out, Jesus looked forward to the joy that the Bible says that was set before him to go to the cross. His ministry to the Galileans was over. He did come back a couple times. But Jesus' focus was on Jerusalem. He set his face determined that there was no turning back, that he was going to follow through why God the Father sent him into this world. And that's the purpose and determination that we need in our lives to follow the Lord, to serve God in this coming year, to be and to do all that God has called us to. It will take a determination. It will take us to set our sights, to purpose in our heart, to be resolute, to make a resolution that we will follow the Lord, to set ourselves and purpose in our heart that we want to serve God. And Jesus did that. He set his face towards Jerusalem. We see in verse 52, as he was traveling, the Bible tells us that they came to a place, the Samaritans, and there was a great hatred between the Jews and the Samaritans. And as he entered that village, he sent some people ahead of them to prepare the way, to get a place to lodge. And the Bible says that they turned them away. They turned Jesus and his disciples away. And the sons of thunder, James and John, they had an idea. They told the Lord, "Lord, do you want us to pray down fire upon them?" Not a good idea. And Jesus rebuked them for that. But I think it's interesting how Jesus handled that, because the Bible says that they just moved on. But in the next chapter, you know the story of the one that fell to the robbers that beat him and left him on the side of the road, half dead, the Bible says. And Jesus tells that there's a priest that came by and walked on the other side of the road. Another Levite came by and he walked on the other side of the road, ignoring this man. But you know who Jesus likened the person that took care of this man to? A Samaritan. When he was questioned there and he was asked, "Who is my neighbor?" And Jesus gave this account. He gave this story of this man that was robbed and beaten and left half dead on the road. And he mentioned the Samaritan, the one that had hatred for the Jew, the one that did not get along with the Jew. Jesus mentioned this story. We want to be more like Jesus. We see that Jesus forgave them. Jesus didn't hold it against them, that they didn't receive the Lord. He just moved on. But I think it's interesting. We want to be like Jesus because Jesus gave that account that he did not hold that against the Samaritans. And we thank God that we want to follow in Jesus' footsteps this coming year. We also are told that there's 3 individuals in this account in verses 57 through 62 that came to Jesus. That Jesus was walking, as he was walking to the next village, the Bible tells us that there was 3 men that came in touch with the Lord. And the first one that he came in touch, and the other thing is, Jesus had a response to all these 3 that he came in contact with. You know, Jesus is coming in contact with you today. I don't know where you're at spiritually, but Jesus does. And Jesus knows. He knows what we're all in need of this morning, and we thank God for that. He knows our heart. He knew these men's heart. He knew the intent behind the heart. He knew where they were at. We see that in the response that he gives them. Jesus knows all things. You think maybe you're hiding something from your parents, from somebody. You're not hiding it from the Lord. He knows everything about you, everything about me. We cannot hide anything from the Lord. And here his heart does go out to them. But you know what? If we are going to set ourselves to follow and serve the Lord this coming year, there's a cost. There's a price. When Jesus set his heart, his life towards Jerusalem, he knew that there was a cost and a price associated with that. We are not going to just accidentally follow the Lord. We are not going to accidentally serve God. It's going to take something on our hearts and lives to set ourselves to do it, to focus, to be determined that we're going to set ourselves to serve the Lord. We're going to purpose in our heart. There's an intent to it. And it's going to take more than just half-heartedly doing it. If we're going to please God. If he is going to say, "Well done, thou faithful servant. You have been faithful in these little small things. Come, and I will make you faithful. I will give you charge over so much more." And that's what we're looking for. At the end of the year, or at the end of our lives, or when we meet Jesus in the air, that's what we want to hear. That's what we should purpose and focus on as we serve the Lord this coming year. This first man, he came to the Lord. And the Bible says that as it came to pass that they went on the way, a certain man said unto him, "Lord, I will follow thee wheresoever thou goest." What a resolution. Maybe you made that resolution this year. I know I prayed that prayer when I got saved. That I told the Lord, "Lord, if you save me, I will serve you the rest of my life with your help." I made a resolution. And by God's grace, I want to keep that resolution the rest of my days with his help. And this man, made a great resolution. This is a great statement. This is what we want to do. And he came to the Lord and he said, wheresoever thou goest. Where was Jesus going? He set his sight towards Jerusalem. And he said, Lord, I will go with you there. Wherever your life leads you, I will go with you. I don't know what this man knew, what he heard, but no doubt he knew something about Jesus. He might have heard about his miracles, his teachings, the great power that he possessed, being the Son of God. And no doubt that everybody wants to be with that person. That's natural. That happens today in our world. People follow these great athletes, actors, politicians. And this man says, I want to identify with you. I want to go where you're going. Little did he know where Jesus was going. Little did he know what kind of sacrifice it took to follow the Lord. And Jesus responded to him, knowing his heart. No doubt he had compassion and love on him like he did on everybody, like he does for us today. And he tells him, you don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea. And he tells him, foxes, they could identify. There's foxes everywhere there. Foxes have holes. Foxes have a place to rest. Foxes have a place to call their home. Birds have a place. But the Son of God, the Son of Man, he did not. He did not. There was no place to lay his own head. No place to call home. The Lord will call something out of your life. And he's calling something out of your life. He calls consecrations for us to make. If you're going to follow the Lord this coming year, if you're going to set your heart to follow the Lord this coming year, there'll be some consecrations that God will call from you. We all have homes. We all have a place to put our head on, a pillow to put our head on. And we thank God for that. The meaning of this verse is a lot deeper than that. How about if the Lord called you where there was no place to call home? How about if the Lord called you to be a missionary overseas where you didn't have those luxuries? Would you do it? Is your heart set? Is it purposed, resolute, determined that you will follow the Lord? This man had no idea what he was saying when he said, wherever you go, Lord, I will follow you. Jesus did. Will you follow the Lord? If that's the cost, if that's the price that he's asking you and I to pay, would you do it? Or would you, like this 91%, quit following the Lord? Another man, as he went on the way, and he said to another, this is Jesus now calling. Imagine him walking, and there's a crowd of people following, no doubt, the Lord. I'd follow him. And Jesus asked this man, follow me. But he said, here's another excuse. He said, suffer me first to go bury my father. Well, in that culture, they would bury their dead the same day that they would die. We know that because Lazarus was buried that same day he died. So most likely this man wasn't telling Jesus, hey, let me go bury my dad who just passed away. But what he was telling Jesus is the excuse that he was making to Jesus, Hey, I'm too young. Wait a minute. I'm 16 years old. You want me to follow you? Let me live my life a little bit. Let me have my dad pass down his inheritance to me. Excuse. I'm too young. Maybe when I'm my dad's age, I'm going to serve you. I'll have a little more time for you, Lord. I'll follow you then. I'll set my heart to serve you then, Lord. On top of that, the Lord had something even greater for this man. Because Jesus said unto him in response, let the dead bury their dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of God. What a calling, what a privilege. We're all called to evangelize the world, to go out and preach the gospel, to raise and make disciples for the Lord. That's our calling to all of us. That's a universal call to all Christians, to all followers. And this man, Jesus asked him, would you go and preach? Would you go and do this for me? What a privilege. We're called to serve God, to speak and have the Lord use us as his ambassadors for his kingdom. And this man's excuse is, let me first go and live my life. And someday, Lord, I will have time for you. Someday, at more convenient time, I'll come and serve you. Not now. My life is going really good. Once I live my life, I get my inheritance, then I'll have time for you. And then there's a third man. And another also said to the Lord, I will follow thee, but let me first go bid them farewell, which are at home at my house. Come on, man. That's the best excuse you can come up with? Let me go say bye to some friends. The opportunity of a lifetime was given to this man. The invitation, which we heard in Meffer about invitation, the invitation of a lifetime, the opportunity of a lifetime. No other greater invitation he would receive again. No greater opportunity than right there face to face with Jesus. And Jesus is telling him, follow me. Set your heart to follow me. And he said, let me go say goodbye to some friends. I get it. It's hard for some of us to say goodbye to our friends, to the world. It is. And I get it. It's hard to say to your friends that are out in the world, I'm going to go to church and I'm going to serve my God and I'm going to set my heart to follow the Lord this year. To serve him, to follow him with all my heart. With all that is within me. And he used that excuse, let me say bye to them. But the only thing that was acceptable to God, to Jesus that day, is that he would do it and follow him. Cut those ties right then. He lost an opportunity of his lifetime over that excuse. God help us to set our hearts to follow the Lord this coming year, fully surrendered, fully consecrated. But yet, there's so many people using the same excuses today. So many people that will not give up their friends, that will ask God to give him more time at more convenient time, it's not the right time to serve the Lord. It's not the right time to be sold out for you, Lord. Maybe down the road. But you know, that opportunity may not come again. That call to follow the Lord may not come again. It takes God drawing you. You know that? Yes, we make an effort. Yes, we put ourselves in a position. Yes, we can cry out to God. But it takes God's Spirit to call after you and I. And we're given one opportunity, one chance. We have a gracious, merciful God. That for some of us that were raised around the gospel, we've been given opportunity time and time again. But one day, that will be the last day you will have an opportunity to follow the Lord, to set your heart to serve the Lord. And Jesus responds to this man, and he responds to all three of them, and he responds to us this morning. In verse 62, and Jesus said unto him, no man, nobody. You put your name in there. No man, no woman, no, put your name there, having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of God. These didn't even put their hand to the plow. And they could understand exactly what Jesus was saying to them. He didn't say, no man putting their hand to a fork, a ball, what have you. A plow, they knew what that meant. Most of these men that Jesus was speaking to, they were using plows in that day. It was hard work. It takes effort. It takes focus. It takes determination. It's hard work. Jesus didn't say, oh, it's going to be easy to follow me. It's like putting your hand into placing it on the ball. That's easy. I'd follow the Lord and say, hey, I want to play. It just takes a ball. It takes a fork. I know how to eat. I could be determined, Lord, to follow you. Just give me a spoon and a fork and a ball. A flour. No, he said a plow. If you're going to follow the Lord, you got a hand on the plow. That's what you got. And you know what I'm talking about. It's not for the faint of heart to follow the Lord. It's going to take something. It's going to take grit. It's going to take everything we have if we're going to set ourselves to follow the Lord in 2024 and not give up, not turn back. What are you going to go back to? What's there? No man having put his hand to the plow and looking back fit for the kingdom of God. I don't even know how to say it, but I know how to plow by hand. What is that, hoeing? Yeah. I don't know. I'm a farmer's boy. Sorry, Dad. I should know better. But I've done some hand plowing, and I can't imagine if I was doing this, how straight my rows would be. How good of a job I would have done. But it takes focus to serve the Lord. It's going to take something for us to set our hearts to follow the Lord in this new year. You want to do it? Have you made that resolution? That I'm going to follow the Lord? I'm going to serve you, God? But I know what follows plowing. You beat that dirt. But the end result of that plowing is something great that we all like. The harvest. The harvest. Hard work, following the Lord? Absolutely. Is it worth it, though? Amen. Is it worth it, though? Amen. Absolutely. It's the greatest decision you can make is to follow God. Stay on the plow. Serve the Lord with all your heart. All that is within you, it will be worth it. The harvest is going to be great. It is going to be great. When those vegetables, those fruit come to harvest, it's going to be worth it. One of these days, and I believe soon and very soon, that great harvest is going to take place. Jesus will call. Jesus will come again. And if you and I are determined to hold on to that plow and stick with it, be determined, set your heart. The devil will try everything and anything to take you off that plow. But don't do it. Jesus said, for whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for his name's sake and the gospel's, the same shall save it. For what does it profit a man if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Sobering thought. So many people settle for a lot less than the whole world to lose their soul over. Jesus said, if you gain the whole world, you're the most wealthiest, most popular, the most powerful, the most likes, the most followers you have, and you think you're somebody, and you lose your soul over that, it's not worth it. For how much less people are willing to sell out than that? Power, prestige, it's worth following the Lord. Amen. It's worth following the Lord. Pay the price. Jesus is calling you. You know what it takes. You know the price you have to pay. I don't have to tell you. You already know the Lord is so faithful to speak to us. You know what you have to give up. You know what you have to lay aside. You know what you have to give to God. You know what you have to consecrate to Him. He's faithful to speak to you and I. Let it go. Stick with the plow. Set your heart to serve the Lord in 22 or 24, and God will bless you. God will be there every step of the way, and the harvest that you will gain because of Him will be great. We're going to sing 506. God bless you.